Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pricharine Nirviseshasha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we begin with, we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 17, where Uddhav is speaking about his remembrance of Lord Krishna to Vidur. Dunoti chetaha smarato mametad yad ahapada abhivandya pitraho tatambakam sad purusankitanam prasidatam no kritanishkritinam. Lord Krishna begged pardon from his parents for their, Krishna and Balaram's, inability to serve their feet due to being away from home because of great fear of Kamsa. He said, "O mother, O father, please excuse us for this inability. All this behavior of the Lord gives me pain at heart." It appears that Lord Krishna and Baladev were both very greatly afraid of Kams, and therefore they had to hide themselves. But if Lord Krishna and Baladev are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how was it possible that they were afraid of Kamsa? Is there any contradiction in such statements? Vasudeva, due to his great appreciation for Krishna, wanted to give him protection. He never thought that Krishna was the Supreme Lord and could protect himself. He thought of Krishna as his son. Because Vasudeva was a great devotee of the Lord, he did not like to think that Krishna might be killed like his other children. Morally, Vasudeva was bound to deliver Krishna to the hands of Kamsa because he had promised to turn over all his children. But out of his great love for Krishna, he broke his promise. And the Lord was very pleased with Vasudeva for his transcendental mentality. He did not want to disturb the intense affection of Vasudeva, and thus he agreed to be carried by his father to the house of Nanda and Yashoda. Just to test the intense love of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna fell down in the waters of the Yamuna while his father was crossing the river. Vasudeva became mad after his child as he tried to recover him in the midst of the rising river. So then people might say, oh, well, if Krishna is Lord and Balaramji is the Lord, then why are they hiding from Kams? They are Lord, even if they are in the form of a baby, they can still kill Kamsa immediately. But here Prabhupada is explaining to us that because Vasudeva was in the mood of a parent, so Vatsalya Ras, so he had intense love for Krishna. He wanted to protect Krishna from Kamsa. And so both Krishna and Baladev. And so he was actually he had promised that he's going to give all his children to Kamsa. But he had so much love for Krishna that he just couldn't do it. And this is transcendental because it is related to Krishna, because he had so much love for Krishna. And Krishna, to increase the intensity of the love of his devotees, he does certain things, like he fell down in the waters of the Jamuna to bring out that intensity of love in Vasudeva. Like that's the reason he disappeared from the sight of the gopis in Vrindavan. And so that increased the intensity of love for the gopis. The ecstasy they were feeling was they had never felt before when they were seeing Krishna. So in that mood of separation, the love becomes even more intense. We also have that experience. When our loved one is away, then we remember them more. We think of them more. You know, we see something, then they're reminded us more of them. It's more sweeter. So these are all glorified pastimes of the Lord, and there is no contradiction in such manifestations. Since Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he was never afraid of Kamsa, but to please his father, he agreed to be so. And the most brilliant part of his supreme character was that he begged pardon from his parents for being unable to serve their feet while absent from home because of fear of Kamsa. So Krishna agreed to leave Mathura because his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, told him it's not safe for you to be here. And then after he killed Kamsa, when he came back to Mathura and he killed Kamsa, then he begged for forgiveness from Vasudeva and Devaki. He told them, I'm so sorry that I was not there when you were undergoing so much difficulties, when Kamsa was doing so many, atrocious activities on you. He imprisoned you, he killed your children. I'm sorry I was not there. The Lord, whose lotus feet are worshipped by demigods like Brahma and Shiva, wanted to worship the feet of Vasudeva. Such instruction by the Lord to the world is quite appropriate. Even if one is the Supreme Lord, one must serve his parents. So Krishna always likes to put a good example because he knows that what a great personality does, the common man follows. And he's the Supreme Lord himself, and yet he is serving the lotus feet of his parents. He's setting an example for us that we should also serve our parents. A son is indebted to his parents in so many ways, and it is the duty of the son to serve his parents, however great the son may be. So here Prabhupada is saying that no matter how much the son achieves, but he is duty bound to always serve his parents. Even Lord Caitanya, he said, he told his parents that I can never repay the debt that, I can never repay the debt to you because you have borne me. You've maintained me when we are a baby. Who's the one who's protecting us? Our parents. Anything can happen in that situation. We are not able to defend ourselves. And so we are always indebted to our parents. Indirectly, Krishna wanted to teach the atheists who do not accept the supreme fatherhood of God, and they may learn from this action how much the Supreme Father has to be respected. So how we are supposed to respect our parents in this material world, because they are maintaining us, they're taking care of us. They took care of us when we were totally dependent on them when we couldn't defend ourselves. So how much more should we respect the Supreme Lord, who's the Supreme Father of each and every one of us, who's maintaining us? Without his mercy, we wouldn't be able to even live for a moment. Uddhav was simply struck with wonder by such glorious behavior of the Lord, and he was very sorry that he was unable to go with him. So Uddhav has his intense love for Krishna, and he's feeling the separation from Krishna. And how Krishna acts in very glorious ways. Krishna always acts in a proper way to set the proper example for us. Is this okay?
Yes.
So reading on, text 18. Kova amushyangari sarojarenum vishmartum ishitapaman vichikran yo visfurat bruhu vistapena bhumer bharam kritantena tiraschakara vitapena bhumer. Who, after smelling the dust of his lotus feet even once, would ever forget it? Simply by expanding the leaves of his eyebrows, Krishna has given the death blow to those who were burdening the earth. Lord Krishna cannot be accepted as one of the human beings, even though he played the role of an obedient son. His actions were so extraordinary that by the simple raising of his eyebrows, he could deliver death blows to those who are burdening the earth. So Krishna, although he appeared in a human-like form, but he's not a human being. He's not like us. So we cannot compare ourselves to him. You know, can we kill somebody just by raising our eyebrows? We are not that powerful, but Krishna could do that. Drishta bhavadbir nanurajasuye chedyasya kritsnam dvishato api siddhihi yam yoginaha samsprahayanti samyag yogena kastad viraham saheta. You have personally seen how the king of Chedi, Shishupal, achieved success in yoga practice, although he hated Lord Krishna. Even the actual yogis aspire after such success with great interest by performance of their various practices. Who can tolerate separation from him? So Uddhav is really burning in that love of separation. His heart is so intensely in love with Krishna. He's remembering. Lord Krishna's causeless mercy was exhibited in the great assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was merciful even to his enemy, the king of Chedi, who always tried to be an envious rival of the Lord. The king of Chedi is Shishupal. He was actually Krishna's cousin. He was his cousin, but he was always very, very envious of Krishna. Because it is not possible to be a bona fide rival of the Lord, the king of Chedi was extremely malicious toward Lord Krishna. In this way, he was like many other asuras, such as Kamsa and Jarasandha. In the open assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthir, Shishupal insulted Lord Krishna, and he was finally killed by the Lord. So Shishupal, the minute he was born, I think he was born with too many eyes or too many hands or in a very abnormal way. And then it was said that whoever carries him and he becomes look like normal, then that person is going to be his killer. So Shishupal was still small, and then when Lord Krishna carried him, all these extra limbs of his disappeared and he looked again normal. So the mother of Shishupal became very anxious. She said, "Oh, you're going to kill my son." So Krishna said, okay, I'll pardon him either 99 times or 100 times. But if he exceeds that, then I'll kill him. So Shishupal throughout his life was very, very envious of Krishna. He would keep on, you know, try to say bad things about him. And especially in the Rajasuya sacrifice, where all the respectable personalities from all over the universe had collected. This Rajasuya sacrifice Lord Maharaj Yudhishthira had done. And even the demigods had come from the various planets. And the great kings of this planet had come. And in the Rajasuya sacrifice, it was the custom that the most suitable personality should be respected first. And so Lord Krishna was chosen to be given that honor, of the most important person in this meeting. But Shishupal couldn't bear it, and he became so envious that he started blaspheming the Lord, saying many, many bad things about the Lord. Then, as per his promise, Krishna excused either it was 99 or 100, and then when it increased the number, Krishna immediately with his Sudarshan Chakra, he cut off the head of Shishupal. But it was seen by everyone in the assembly that a light flashed out of the body of the king of Chedi and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. This means that Chedi Raj achieved the salvation of attaining oneness with the Supreme, which is the perfection most desired by the Jnanis and Yogis, and for which they execute their different types of transcendental activities. So what happened was that Shishupal's soul, where did it go? It went inside the body of Krishna. And what does that mean? That he went inside the divine light, the Brahma Jyoti, that most of the Jnanis and the yogis, that's what they want to do. They want to go and sit in the divine light. And then for that, they take up so many practices, mind and sense control, for sometimes many, many births, not even one birth. And here, although Shishupal was an enemy of Krishna, because he was killed by Krishna, he immediately got this liberation. It is a liberation. It is a type of liberation. Because you're sitting in the Brahma Jyoti. So although it's temporary, but it is a liberation for that time. But that's what the Jnanis and Yogis are trying to achieve. And here, the demons who are killed by Krishna achieve it immediately. It is a fact that persons who are trying to understand the supreme truth by their personal endeavors of mental speculation or mystic powers of yoga achieve the same goal as others who are personally killed by the Lord. Both achieve the salvation of merging in the Brahmajyoti rays of the transcendental body of the Lord. The Lord was merciful even to his enemy, and the success of the king of Chedi was observed by everyone who was present in the assembly. Vidura was also present there, and therefore Uddhav referred this incident to his memory. So Krishna is so kind. He's so kind to even to the demons that he kills, that he gives them liberation, And so we are all encouraged to become devotees of Krishna. Because imagine if a demon who is killed by Krishna gets liberation, and this same liberation is so much aspired for the Jnanis and Yogis. The Jnanis and Yogis so much want to have this liberation. Then if one becomes a devotee of Krishna, what supreme destination can he get? It will be certainly much, much more. What good fortune for someone, to become a devotee of the Lord, because the Lord can give himself to that person. He can bring that person to his supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, and have an eternal loving relationship with that person. And so it's in our own best interest if we become devotees of Krishna. Is this okay?
Yes.
So, text 20. Tathaiva chanye naraloka vira ya ahave Krishna mukhara vindam netre pibanto Nayanabhiramam Parthastra Padam Apur Asya. Certainly, those who were fighters on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were purified by the onslaught of Arjuna's arrows, and while seeing the lotus-like face of Krishna, so pleasing to the eyes, they achieved the abode of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, appears in this world for two missionary purposes: to deliver the faithful and to annihilate the miscreants. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whenever there is too many miscreants in the world, too many people creating too much disturbance, he comes himself. And then what does he do at that time? He kills all those demoniac people and he protects the devotees. But because the Lord is absolute, his two different kinds of actions, although apparently different, are ultimately one and the same. His annihilation of a person like Shishupal is as auspicious as actions for the protection of the faithful. So because Krishna is absolute, anything he does is all good. He does not have anything bad for anyone. So even though Shishupal was so envious of Krishna, Krishna gave him liberation. So all the warriors who fought against Arjuna, but who were able to see the lotus-like face of the Lord on the battlefront, achieved the abode of the Lord exactly as the devotees of the Lord do. The words pleasing to the eyes of the seer are very significant. When the warriors from the other side of the battlefield saw Lord Krishna at the front, they appreciated his beauty, and the dormant instinct of love of God was awakened. Shishupal saw the Lord also, but he saw him as his enemy, and his love was not awakened. Therefore, Shishupal achieved oneness with the Lord by merging in the impersonal glare of his body, called the Brahma Jyoti. Others, who were in the marginal position, being neither friends nor enemies, but slightly in love of Godhead, by appreciating the beauty of his face, were at once promoted to the spiritual planets, the Vaikunthas. So there were so many warriors who were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And each of the warriors, because they were able to see the Lord, and they were able to appreciate the beauty of Krishna. Krishna is so beautiful that anyone who sees them with neutrality, not with envy. Shishupal was too envious of Krishna, so he could not appreciate the beauty of Krishna. And so even when he was killed by Krishna, because his envy was so much, Krishna just gave him, okay, you come and sit in the divine light, in the Brahma Jyoti. You know, you merge in the Brahma Jyoti. But at that time, does it mean that Shishupal stops to exist as a soul, as an individual? No, Shishupal still continues to exist. Each of us always continue to exist, even if we sit in the light. What happens is, after sitting in the light for, say, hundreds and thousands of years, we get bored and we want some activity. Then from there, if we have the mercy of Krishna, we can go to one of the spiritual planets. And if we don't, then we will fall back to this material world. So, and what happened to the warriors? Because they didn't have that enmity with Krishna. They were there just because the Kauravas had collected and the Pandavas had collected. So many of the soldiers were just neutral towards Krishna. And when they saw Krishna and they appreciated the beauty, oh wow, Krishna is so beautiful. And then the dormant instinct of love of God was awakened. Love for Krishna is in each and everyone's heart. Love of Krishna is in your heart, in my heart, in everyone's heart. It's just right now we have forgotten it. But because the warriors were able to see Krishna face to face, and they were able to appreciate his beauty, their love for God awakened. And because their love of God awakened, when they left their body, they went to the spiritual world. The Lord's personal abode is called Goloka Vrindavan, and the abodes where his plenary expansions reside are called the Vaikunthas, where the Lord is present as Narayan. Love of Godhead is dormant in every living entity, and the entire process of devotional service unto the Lord is meant for awakening this dormant, eternal love of Godhead. So, here Prabhupada is saying that there are so many Vaikuntha lokas, there are so many spiritual planets, and in each of these spiritual planets, the Krishna in his expansion as Lord Narayan, he resides there. And Goloka Vrindavan, which is the highest planet in the spiritual sky, Krishna himself, he himself lives there as Shyam Sundar Krishna. Now, why we are all encouraged to do bhakti? Hearing, which begins with hearing and chanting, engage in devotional service, because with that we can revive our dormant love for Krishna. But there are degrees of such transcendental awakening. Those whose love of God is awakened to the fullest extent go back to the Goloka Vrindavan planet in the spiritual sky, whereas persons who have just awakened to love of God by accident or association are transferred to the Vaikuntha planets. Essentially, there is no material difference between Goloka and Vaikuntha. But in the Vaikunthas, the Lord is served in unlimited opulence, whereas in Goloka, the Lord is served in natural affection. So it just depends. So here, the love of God also has different degrees. For example, the warriors who died in the Kurukshetra war, their dormant love of God was awakened, but it was not awakened to the fullest extent. And because their love of God was awakened, they could go to the Vaikuntha lokas where Lord Narayan is there, and they could worship Lord Narayan. Lord Narayan is worshipped in great opulence. He lives in a golden palace with valuable jewels, and Lakshmi Devi is there always serving him. He has so many servants serving him. And everyone there looks like Lord Narayan. Everyone is there four-handed and beautiful. But everybody knows that he's the Lord. But when someone's love of Krishna is awakened so intensely that the love is more than that feeling of love is more intense than that feeling that he's the Lord. Now, it's not artificial. It can't be imitated. And then when the love is so much, then those pure devotees go to the Goloka Vrindavan planet, and they can have loving pastimes with Krishna, have loving relationship with Krishna, see Krishna face to face, talk to him, serve him, have emotional exchange with him. Is that okay?
Yeah.
This love of God is awakened by the association of pure devotees of the Lord. Here the word Parthastra Putaha is significant. Those who saw the beautiful face of the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were purified first by Arjuna when he made his onslaught with arrows. The Lord appeared for the mission of diminishing the burden of the world, and Arjuna was assisting the Lord by fighting on his behalf. Arjuna personally declined to fight, and the whole instruction of the Bhagavad Gita was given to Arjuna to engage him in the fight. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna agreed to fight in preference to his own decision. And thus, Arjuna fought to assist the Lord in his mission of diminishing the burden of the world. All the activities of a pure devotee are executed on behalf of the Lord, because a pure devotee of the Lord has nothing to do for his personal interest. So here Prabhupada is saying that the love of God can be awakened in us only in association of devotees. Bhakti comes from a bhakta. We cannot just get it just like that. We have to somehow get in touch with a devotee. We are also here trying to relish the Bhagavad Gita is because of the mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of the devotees. And so the the soldiers who were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, first they saw Arjuna. And because they saw Arjuna, who's a pure devotee of Krishna, they got purified. And when we, even a moment's association with a pure devotee, it is so valuable. It is more valuable than getting all the wealth of the 14 worlds. Why? Because in that moment, it begins our devotional service. And which begins, and it can give us the highest benefit, love of God. So Arjuna's killing was as good as killing by the Lord himself. As soon as Arjuna shot an arrow at an enemy, the enemy became purified of all material contaminations and became eligible to be transferred to the spiritual sky. Those warriors who appreciated the lotus feet of the Lord and saw his face at the front had their dormant love of God awakened, and thus they were transferred at once to Vaikuntha Loka, not to the impersonal state of Brahmajyoti, as was Shishupal. Shishupal died without appreciating the Lord, while others died with appreciation of the Lord. Both were transferred to the spiritual sky. But those who awakened to love of God were transferred to the planets of the transcendental sky. So both were killed. Shishupal and the other soldiers were also killed. But the soldiers who were able to appreciate Krishna, they could enter into Vaikuntha Loka, whereas Shishupal just entered into the Brahma Jyoti, which is not a very pleasurable destination. Uddhav seemingly lamented that his own position was less than the warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because they had attained to Vaikuntha, whereas he remained to lament the disappearance of the Lord. So Uddhav was saying, oh, those warriors could go back with the Lord, but I'm here, still here in the material world, and I have to feel the separation from the Lord. So we'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande.